Hello and welcome to your golden ticket to success, freedom and happiness. My name's Maria Kay and today I am overjoyed to welcome with us Melanie G. Welcome, Mel.
Hey, how's it going?
Melanie she puts her passion into action through her work as an international presenter and chief play officer for Play Inc. I love that. She, by applying her best practices in positive thinking, personal development, fitness, health and physical education, she inspires kids, teens and adults to claim their bubble of awesome, wow, and live the 3 rules of play, which are be positive, be fun, and the most important, I think, as well, be yourself. Wow, I just love that. I mean, just reading that, Mel, it just really ignites my kind of, wanting to go out there and play and have fun.
Amazing. It's a really fun philosophy that we use in all of our programs and all the work that I do, but really it came from my everyday life and things that I have to keep reminding myself to do. So it's really fun. I love it.
So before we get into the real juicy stuff of what you do every day and how you help people in the world find that element of play in their life, could you maybe give us a bit of a snapshot of perhaps a time in your life or a series of events in your life where perhaps you weren't living, by that philosophy, and perhaps what is it for you that helped shape what you do today, both in your personal life but also in your professional life?
For sure. I think one of the things that I've learned throughout the years about myself is that I love to achieve. I'm an achiever and I love success. And it's just something that I've always done. So since I've been a child going through school, I'm the kind of person who was made for school. I speak to a lot of people who face challenges in their lives, and a lot of for them, school was one of the things where they felt like they had to do. I loved it. I loved achieving and taking it to the next level. And so the thing that I think one of the biggest challenges that I've had to overcome is the feeling of not succeeding and the feeling of not being as successful as I know that I can be, and being at a level that I know I should be. And it's this constant, perpetual, you have to be there and, measuring yourself against others, measuring yourself against your own life path or what you had projected for yourself and wanting. And so, I think that one of the most significant events that happened, in the recent years was the need to feel like I should be at a certain place in terms of how I'm working and who I'm working with. And a few years ago, I decided to leave a company that wasn't necessarily aligned with the way that I knew I wanted to be and to function. And in the course of that, it was quite challenging to have to make hard decisions, to leave certain relationships, to stop working with certain people, and to leave certain things that I had built to really truly step into my path and the thing that is my passion and creating the life that and the way that I'm working in a way that would allow me to achieve that level of success that's self-driven and getting there. So being in a state where, not necessarily feeling that you're being successful, and sometimes taking a step back and then feeling the backlash of taking a step back from your path of success to reassess and get on a new path, and now trying to be, existing on this new path with that positive mindset while you let go of the past. So, yeah.
And I loved how you gave almost a multifaceted viewpoint there of what success is, or what it can be, or how it's perhaps labeled. And what I've come to realize, speaking to so many of people like yourself around this subject, is that it's so unique to each and every individual. So it's beautiful, yet there is that almost that need really to connect to what it means for you and be fearless and go after it, and it's almost a non-negotiable. Can you talk a bit about what was driving you? What was it that wasn't quite there? And I know that you worked, very much in the corporate world too, and there were times in your life when perhaps, you know, you were highly successful, ticking, you know, 1,000 boxes that to other people would be like, wow, you know, but you weren't somehow feeling as connected as you are now. So could you maybe sort of tie all those elements in for us and give us a bit more there?
For sure. Those few years ago, I was working in the corporate world, and I had achieved what, like you were saying, the checkbox of things that I was supposed to do. And I woke up one day exhausted, like so exhausted. I just like had slowly come to a realization where I had at that time my master's of education. I was a highly successful senior policy analyst in a government job, working with like, you know, multi-million-dollar portfolios. I owned a condo. I was at the time engaged, and everything was like set on this path, and I was not happy. I just wasn't happy because back then, I think it was like, I called it my quarter life crisis. I was 28. I was relatively young by the time I had achieved all these things because I was an overachiever and I got there fast. And I had come to a realization where none of those things were driven by me. It was just things that I felt like I was supposed to do. And so you know, it was an opportunity to go through a process, whether it's my Saturn return when I turned 30 or all those things when you slowly come to the realization that things just don't quite fit to what you're supposed to do, essentially. What you're actually supposed to do. Your being is inside of you screaming like there's so much more that you can do, and where you are now is not, you know, something has to change because you feel it from the inside. There's no reason logically for you to be unhappy, but you just aren't happy. So it was a moment of reflection to really figure out what is it that I want? What is it that I want to do? And it essentially boiled down to working with kids and having a global impact. I knew that the work that I was doing wasn't large scale enough, and there's not a lot of people who have that. Some people do, some people don't, you know. But for me, it was something that I needed to have massive impact. I felt like I needed to be in a platform where I could impact millions, not thousands or not dozens. So being a school teacher in a classroom wasn't enough. Working at a provincial organization wasn't enough. I needed to step out of the roles that I had been following, thinking that that's where I was going to be and make the most impact, and actually create it for myself. And that was the leap that was the hardest, was going from the corporate world into becoming an entrepreneur and launching my own business. And that in itself was just a journey that I don't think many entrepreneurs are ready for. I think even if I'd gone to school for entrepreneurship, when you hit the reality of real life, it's much more different, but I wouldn't change it for the world, because I feel like I'm now on a path where I am in control of what my success will be, and I don't have any more excuses like, oh, I'm not going to get promoted, or this colleague that I've got to work with doesn't, you know, pull their weight. It's just me. It's ultimately me, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely been coming up. You know, take responsibility, and I love how you were in a place where you listened, because, you know, we all get those voices, we all get those messages, and there might be some people out there listening to you, and I'm going to be really frank here, thinking, well, who do you think you are, thinking you're not, you're better, and you know, we think that for ourselves first of all, right? So let's just be really clear. Who do I think I am, or our ego will get in and have a, you know, it's 2 pennies worth. So there might be that kind of, you know, well, what makes you, what sets you apart from all the other school teachers or the other corporate people who were, you know, working their butts off? What makes you special? But yet, that's something that resides within all of us, you know, and it is actually a really, it's a beautiful gift when you can literally, you know, what I call clear away all the cobwebs and allow what we are literally here to do on this planet, you know, the gift that we've been given, or the agreement that we made, however you like to look at it. And actually, it takes courage, it takes sheer tenacity and courage to first of all be willing to hear the voice or the message and then act on it. And I say that being an entrepreneur, or being, you know, stepping outside of the box, off of the hamster wheel, is one of the biggest and most profound spiritual journeys you will ever go on, perhaps aside from being a parent, but very much on a par, you know. So what perhaps could you share with our audience for those who are maybe really trying to push down or push aside, or maybe cover up a talent and ability, something that they're screaming out, but they maybe are muffling for perhaps many different reasons? What could you share with them to help them along?
Well, the first thing is, are they even aware that they have this talent? What breaks my heart is when I meet people who are just like, my life is stuck. I'm stuck and I don't know what to do to change it, and I'm not talented like you, and you look at all the things you can do and I don't have any of those things. And the first thing is realization that every single person has something that makes them light up, that makes them become alive with happiness. And it doesn't have to be an art. You know, people are like, you can be a painter or a writer or a da-da-da, but there's something that person does that makes them feel so alive. And to get out of the stuckness, to get into stepping into it, it's just doing it. And the work that I do did not go from 0 to 100. It went from daily activities and tasks where I started to infuse it in my life to actually practice that talent. Because for me, success is practicing every day the thing that makes you become more alive. So you don't do the thing that you love to do because it's going to make money. Then it's like that's not, I think, the ideal way of thinking about doing it. I think you do it because it makes you happy. And we have to shift to this mindset where the thing that I do that makes me happy can also create massive abundance in my life, financial abundance, like spiritual abundance, like all of the kind of abundances that you want to bring into your life. But you have to start doing it. You know, it's like you think that you're like, I want to be a painter. So you're like, well, I can't paint 10 paintings and I might not be able to do a huge painting like that. But it's like, what if you just started doodling? I don't know if that's one of the first steps of painting, but what if you just started creating images from a blank canvas, and every day you commit to just doodling? Maybe the next day you create a full page, and maybe, or you start sketching out the behind the scenes, element of your big, huge painting, and every day you contribute to it. And that process of slowly letting your daily routine start to have those elements of your talent will actually, I think, drive your spirit, your inner being to want more of it and to create more opportunities to share it. And you said the word, the F word, the fearlessness word. You have to do it fearlessly when you start to share it for others. But the process can be very personal for a while until you feel like you have the strength to go. And there might be 20 paintings in your house before you're like, am I ready to do this? To share it with someone else. And then you can start sharing it with a friend, with your families, and then just find people who support you in sharing your talent, and slowly I think it can emerge and you can actually start doing what you love.
Absolutely. I love how you highlighted that, you don't have to start big. You don't have to find the biggest cliff in the world and jump off of it.
Yeah.
You can literally, something that I bring in with my clients and students is one shuffle at a time. If that's where they're at, and even a step can feel really, really overwhelming, then let's call it a shuffle. You don't even have to take your foot off the ground. You highlighted there that, aligning with your soul's purpose and passion, but also doing the things on a daily basis. And this is something that I'm really interested to hear about more in depth about what you do, and we'll come to that in a moment. But doing on a daily basis the thing that you want to be doing as a successful, happy, free, person, whatever it might be for you, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's, with your personal health and body, or career or finances, whatever area of life, is to start being who you want to be today, in this moment, right now. And that can happen in an instant, in a simple decision that you make.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about what you started to do when you decided you wanted to create, a real shift and transition from one way of being to a different way of being. What were the practical things that you did on a daily basis, perhaps?
I'm going to ask your permission to shift from my work to my relationship, because I'm being really called out I just got engaged. And the conversations that we have with people who are my age, who are just, who are in their early 30s and mid 30s, and who are just like, how did this happen? And I think that it comes from a place of, for my relationship, I was not in a place where I wanted to be. I did not want to be alone anymore, and I felt like I wanted to be with someone. And it's like, you think that you have to find the perfect person right away. So you're like sitting there and you're online and you're like, this person does it, you're like swiping to the left on Tinder, you're on Plenty of Fish assessing profiles and deleting. And that's like saying, like, I will only be a painter when someone comes up to me, looks at me and says, can you paint me $1 million painting, and here's $1 million. So in the instance of relationships, on the daily, it's just going out there and looking at, what about a relationship do you want? You want to connect with someone. Well, you don't have to connect with your perfect ideal soulmate. Just what if you just started actually just trying to connect with anyone, just trying to have a conversation in the coffee shop? What if, because we all have this amazing idea of a relationship. You're like, I want to have someone that I could have a great dinner with and great conversation. Well, go out there and actually try to find that a person, anyone. It could be your parent, it can be a friend, it can be anyone, and just like start actively doing those, creating those moments where you can have the kinds of feelings about the situation that might not be the person that you want to have it with, but that it's the essence of the relationship. You want to feel connected to someone, you want to share your thoughts with someone. So start doing that with people, your friends, with going on dates. And it doesn't have to be about this person, like assessing this person, but just being like, oh, I'm going to a new restaurant with someone that I don't know, and I'm just going to enjoy the night and actually enjoying the process of it. So, like, I don't know if that's too far off the, like,
no, I love that. I mean, what you're speaking of really is it's definitely a tried and tested philosophy in my life, is to decide what you want and then start to create the emotion that's connected with it, and like you say, it's a bit like fake it till you make it, but a lot of people, they poo-poo that, but I think, and I bring it into my work a lot with my clients and students. Sometimes you really have to step into something that, although you're not in a secure relationship, but if you want to have a relationship that you feel fulfilled with, that you can communicate, you're heard, and you can, be completely authentic in yourself, then you have to try it with other people first. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly. It's like, why not like have that with someone else and like know what about a relationship you want? Because people think, oh, being in a relationship, I find someone who's good looking and they make good money, and like, again, you're just checking off the tick boxes of what it's supposed to look like, when really what you want in an amazing relationship is someone that understands who you are, someone that you can have fun with, someone that you can play with. So take those elements and find them, just foster them in your life. Find people that make you feel understood. Find people that will play with you. Find people that will have fun with you, and actually create those moments in your life. And what happens is, when you're doing that with the people that, you're not even thinking about dating them. They, sometimes there's no sense that you would date them. The person who is meant to be with you and who's going to fulfill those parts of you is going to show up, because they're going to be attracted to you, and it's going to be random, like. And then I like to say the story is that if my fiance had, if we had met online, we would have not been together ever, like, at all. And we feel like we're quite connected to each other, but it was because of the way that we met, because we met through a random occurrence. And if it had been online, we would have swept left. Through email communications, I would have been like, this person cannot spell, like 2 little things like that, and I would have deleted them. I actually would have, and I know that I would have, because I've done it before in the past. And those aren't the things that actually matter. So I think it's all about reconnecting with people, if that's what you want in terms of your relationships, So.
I think, as you say, it's great to highlight that connection is a key, really, as a theme that runs through all areas of our life. And what's emerging as you're sort of telling your story and speaking is that what happened for you, and do correct me if I'm wrong, is that you started a while ago, living your life, instead of from the outside in, you started living your life from the inside out. And that is a phenomenal place to be. What would you say to somebody who perhaps has been doing that, that kind of, scrolling through the online dating, social media sites, perhaps, even been like, face-to-face speed dating or something, but because of the the first initial kind of, word, or the accent, or the way someone's possibly dressed, or all the external things that speak to us first in our culture. How easy was it for you to shift from that mentality?
I don't think it was easy, and I think that I'm still learning, and I will always learn, because every day is a new day, and as you step more forward on your life path, I think it's always forward, not backwards. I think you step forward, more gets revealed, so you constantly have to assess what it is that you truly want, and it's that truly want, not the checklist. So you have to have the awareness. So whoever it is, each person has to figure out, what does it actually look like, and write it out. I think it's important to take time to, whether you call it meditate, just sit and write, but figure out what it is that you actually want. You want good relationships. You want to be in a job where you're doing things, where you're appreciated, where you're recognized, where doing the work that you do actually makes you become alive. That's what you actually want. You don't want to be doing a specific, you can be like, I want to be writing books on this. Maybe you think that specific thing is what you need now, so start, but be willing to consider that might actually unfold into something that's completely not that specific thing. Your brain makes it specific because you think you need to see it before you leap, but really you don't have to see it before you leap. You just have to start doing the actions of what you will feel, like you were saying, what you'll feel when you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And belief comes up again and again and again, and it does really form the backbone, I feel, from what I've experienced in my life and working with my clients and students, but also, we've been speaking to professionals like yourself. Talk to us now, please, Mels. This is the exciting stuff. Talk us through the bubble of awesome and the rules of play, be positive, be fun, be yourself. How do you use those as vehicles to help awaken people to, the reality of how powerful they really are and amazing they really are in this world?
Well, how they came about. One person asked me if you could give all of the people that you're called to work with, which mine are kids, and if you could give every child in the world one gift, one something, what would that be? And my answer immediately was that they know that they are awesome. That's what I want. I want every single child to know that they are freaking awesome, and to feel that energy, because I think that when you foster that, when you create it, I just think kids have so much potential, and they're not always appreciated and nurtured in the society that we live in a way that I think that they can be. I really think that kids are going to change the world, and they already are doing it. So the bubble of awesome came from the fact that no matter what interaction I have with a child, no matter which program I'm working with, I want them to know that. So the bubble of awesome was the thing that they step into at the start of any, I do this now with adults. The bubble of awesome has grown. I started at the start of any, I did a presentation on stage in front of 800 researchers, and we claimed our bubble of awesome. Working with 3,000 kids in Ontario at a school-wide event, every kid claimed their bubble of awesome through dance. Working with adults at a fitness conference this weekend in Toronto, it was every adult stepping into their bubble of awesome for their health. So every person knowing that they have a bubble of awesome, and you step into it. I ask everyone to come and step into it, and then we do whatever thing that I'm there to do with them. It usually involves movement and physical activity, and so no matter what it's called, whether it's a fitness class, a boot camp, working out, dance, we use movement to fill the bubble of awesome, because people need to be in movement and action. It's what we've been talking about this whole time, is that you can sit there and think and wait for the perfect thing to show up, but what matters is that you do something. Just take action, move forward. You said one step. It doesn't have to be a step, a shuffle, but movement is what's going to change, is what creates change. You have to not be stuck. So I use movement as a way of helping people just foster health, but also just be used to movement. Yeah. And that leads into the 3 rules of play, because as they're moving, I also want them to be thinking about practicing positive thinking, because it's a skill that as life gets much more complicated and there's so much more information and relationships and things get things are more complicated because we have to change the way we interact with one another, through a computer screen now instead of in person, and we're constantly changing. So there's a lot to think about. And I think that if we can just remember to, no matter what's happening, whether we're learning, whether we're speaking with others, whether we're, interacting, at a coffee shop, in a class with our clients, just be positive, be the most fun version of yourself, and then just be yourself. Don't be afraid of sharing what your gift is. And those 3 rules are practiced in a dance class, practiced in a fitness class, but applied to the rest of their lives.
I love that, and I can imagine how impactful that would be to someone who's come to see you for the first time to get moving and have some fun, and how stepping out of the the sort of dance or fitness, physical fitness environment after that, how impactful that can be on their life. As you say, it is all about keeping moving, keep going, don't stop. In fact, I do sort of instigate that a lot with my students and clients, that do something today that's going to move you forward, because otherwise there is no kind of stuck, really, because stuck equates to going backwards, because, so I just love that. Mel, I know that you've got a free gift for our audience today to help them really step into their own bubble of awesome. So could you share that, please?
For sure. Well, we just have a guide. It's a really easy thing that you can just download. It's 1 page, put it up behind your computer screen, and it's just 7 ways of being playful every day. Because when you're playing, being playful doesn't have to be children's games. It could just be a moment when you're not doing something for an outcome. You're doing it just to do it, just to foster happiness, just to foster creativity, just to foster willingness, foster the opportunity for anything, for the best possible thing to just unfold itself in front of you. Even if it doesn't make sense, I think we need to practice being playful and feeling comfortable in play, because we're so linear. So just 7 quick tips that you can just do in your daily life, just reminders to stay open with your mindset, to take action and connect with others, and so hopefully that keeps people willing and open to, I call it the or better. This is one of my mentors. I think Jen Huff is one of your,
mine too,
brilliant thing. Leave room for the or better. Our brain can only create so much as what it's seen and has seen in the past. So that means that with the potential of what's amazing and what's limitless out there, our brain can't think about it. So we have to leave room for the or better. We have to leave room for the universe to create the space for the best things for us to unfold itself. So I think when you play, you don't know where things are going to go. Just talk to any 5-year-old child and ask them to create a storyline with you with like a pencil and a dinosaur, and let them take you somewhere that's so weird, and you're like, I can't even keep up with this, like, because we're trying to constantly make it make sense and make it be rational, and children will take you into the possibilities of the weirdness, and that's okay.
Oh, I love that. So go and find some young children to play with, or even, I find that with my pets as well. I've got my 4 cats now, and anything furry or below a certain age will really, bring you into that space. But I am definitely going to go and take a look at those 7 tips. So Mel, thank you so much for infusing this last 30 minutes with exciting, playful energy, and I'm wishing you and everyone watching today a bliss-filled rest of the day.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Maria. It was amazing.